Okay, let's take the opening mantra. Vasudevasutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Okay, so a quick recap from what we covered last time. We spoke about what is Gyan, Agyan, and Mithya Gyan. So, oh, how do I reduce this? I've lost my screen. Oh,
The screen is visible, Swati, to us.
yeah.
I can see the
So,
recap slide.
yeah. So what has happened is you can see that, and uh, no, what am I doing? I've lost my slide screen because I went into this gallery view. Wait, sorry. Uh, uh, sorry. I don't know how to do this. Uh, how do I escape? No, it's not doing my screen. Okay, yeah, now I'm back. All right. So we spoke of Gyan, Agyan, Mithya Gyan, that the birth of Gyan happens through Agyan. We are all born with ignorance. Mithya Gyan is false knowledge, that which is not true, believing that to be true, and that is a problem. That will not allow us to evolve if we get stuck with mithya gyan. And then in the shlokas that we covered, Krishna speaks about the enlightened being. How does the enlightened being, how does one live when one becomes enlightened? What is the characteristic of an enlightened being? He speaks of the one who is a pandita. So we spoke a lot about it. We spoke of Neem Karoli Baba, and then we covered Swami Sarvapriyananda's commentary on it. So who is this person? The one who is freed from desire and will. So Ichha Shakti or desire, Ichha Shakti and the Sankalp Shakti, desire and will, both, the one who has been freed from this, both have disappeared. It's not that you have sankalp but you have no ichha. So you have the will but you have no ichha, or you have ichha but you have no will. So this is like a discrepancy, this is disharmony. But in an enlightened being, both of them sort of disappear together. And such a person, even the gyanis call him pandit. So people know, average people like us will call anybody a pandit. Anybody who is a little bit knowledgeable, has more information, we will call him a pandit. But Krishna says that even the gyanis call that one pandit who is freed from both desire and will. uh, oh god, I don't know what's happening. I'm not able to move. uh, Just give me a minute. I have to stop this share. I'm sorry. I don't know what is happening. I'll go back into it again. I changed the view and yes. All right. Now, everybody can see, right? Okay. Then the usual status work. So ordinarily, why do we work? We work because we want to fulfill our desires, karma. The karma, why do we engage in action? Because we have certain desires. So it is karma, karma, and both of them are rooted in avidya. Avidya, kama leading to karma. That is what Shankaracharya gives. And but the enlightened being does not act from a place of desire. He is totally content. And so what is his motivation to act? Why is he engaging in action in any case? He is engaging in action for loka sangraha. He is in a place of contentment as an expression of his joy. He is sharing. That is why an enlightened being is engaging in action. Then the second characteristic of such a being, third characteristic, is He is untainted even if he is in activity. So remember that story of gopis who want to cross the river, and Krishna says, you must say that if Krishna is a brahmachari, Yamuna will give way. So, and then Durvasa saying that, if he has only eaten the Durva grass, then Yamuna will give way. So they are untainted. The action they do does not taint them. Our actions taint us. Until one is enlightened, one should not say that I have nothing to do in this world. This is very important. That's why I kept it in the recap. Swami Sarvapriyananda says, because people like us, ordinarily, till you are enlightened, you may think that I have nothing to do and you may just sit down doing nothing, but there is a lot of mental activity going on. So then that's not really a state of akarma. Then the next characteristic of the enlightened being is he is dvandvatit. He is beyond duality, he is beyond sukh dukh. And his awareness established in Gyan. There is no bondage. So there is no ahamkar. Remember that story we spoke of the man whose house was burning. So there is no bondage. He is free from I, me, and mine. All right. So that's just a quick recap of what we did last time. Uh, yes. Now I can see everyone. Okay. Now this is a very important shloka. How many of you are aware of this? This shloka is chanted before every meal. It's it's a very common shloka from Gita. In many traditions, they chant this shloka before the meals. Brahmarpanam, Brahma Havir, Brahmagnau, Brahmanahutam, Brahmaiv Ten Gantavyam, Brahma Karma Samadhina. So everything is Brahma. I'll tell you a particular incident. When I started my yoga practice, I used to practice Ashtanga Vinyasa. So I studied with John Scott. John is he's an English, but he lived in Australia, and he's a very, very devoted disciple of Guruji Patabi Joyce. So he went to Mysore and he studied with him. He was a direct disciple. And then in Philippines, where I was learning this, I did workshops with him. I loved John. I loved his presence. One very nice incident. So he's the one who, I heard that he teaches Yoga Sutras in teacher training. And that's the first time I heard Yoga Sutras. And I was like, whatever John knows, I want to know. So I picked up Yoga Sutra and I was like, whatever he knows, I want to know. So he is, when I did my first workshop with him, this is just an incident, but just to tell you, okay, he's an asana practitioner, very dedicated, very devoted. He would not accept certain people in his teacher training if he felt that they did not hold the practice as sacred. He just would not. It was not about money. He would not allow them in his class. He was like that. So in one of his workshops, it was still to begin. There were 80 of us in that huge hall, and there was a little bit of commotion and people talking, whatever. So John comes and he sits down. He simply sits, okay? He sat there and he just began looking at people. Just looked at people, and it was like in a matter of 2 minutes, everybody settled down. He did not speak one single word. So after everybody settled down and everybody became quiet, he said, see, everybody was talking, and I took a little time. I went outside. He was by the pool side, and he said, I settled myself within, and then I came in. So once you settle yourself within, outside also settles. And he gave a live demo of that happening. For me, it was like a real, yoga in life happening. It was a very revelatory moment for me that this teacher showed it to me that, yeah, this is yoga. When you are established, nothing, he didn't have to come and say normally. And I have been with so many teachers and I have done yoga classes, and teachers come into the studio and they'll often say, okay, can we start? No, many times teachers have to use words. They use words to get people to. With John, not a word, nothing. He simply sat. He simply sat and he did. Then, we had invited John, me and my friend, we invited him over. We said, John, we'd love to have you come over, have dinner with us. So he eats non-veg, okay? If it is served to him, he would eat. I think somebody asked him or whatever. So when we were having our meal, that day we had prepared a vegetarian meal, but I think one of our friends asked him. So he said, yeah, if it is served to me or if it's being cooked at home, I would eat. So then he says, see, everything is Brahma, and he chanted this verse. So he was like, everything, just accept it like that and eat it. And this is something which Ramakrishna tells Vivekananda also. When Vivekananda comes to US, he says, I know you don't eat whatever, meat eating, whatever, but if it is served to you, just accept it. Either, I think it was Vivekananda only, Ramakrishna told him, or was it Paramahansa Yogananda? I don't know. I think it was Ramakrishna telling Vivekananda. So I found that very nice. It's also about, how there are things that Sadhguru has spoken about food. He says if the way you receive food, how you receive it can change the way it functions within you. That's why, we always like do a little chant before that, but don't do it mechanically. If you can really receive food with gratitude and, he says it works differently. You will never add on weight. Many things he says, of course, it's not in my experience, but Sadhguru bolte hain, shayad, you have to deepen into that energy. Otherwise, these things don't happen. So anyhow, so here what is being said is that everything is Brahma. That is what is being said in this shloka. For those who are, so this is how an enlightened being sees the world. For those who are completely absorbed in Ishvara consciousness, the oblation is Brahman, the ladle with which it is offered is Brahman, the act of offering is Brahman, the sacrificial fire is also Brahman. Such persons who view everything as God easily attain him. So here, they are speaking of the sacrificial fire, the yagna. So yagna mein we put ghee, the process of putting the ghee itself, the fire itself, whatever oblations are being put into the Havan Kund, everything is Brahman. That is what he's saying. So Swami Mukundananda, we'll take some time on this. The next two shlokas are very important. So Swami Mukundananda says, see that light is the energy of fire. Okay, it can be considered as different from fire because it exists outside it, but it can also be seen as part of fire itself. For example, there is sun. Okay, sun is outside the window, but the sun rays are coming into the room. There are two aspects here. There are sun rays and there is sun, but the sun rays are also sun. So ordinarily, ordinary consciousness may just say it is sun rays or there is just light. But the one who is established in Gyan, the one who is enlightened, sees everything as the sun. He does not see this dichotomy that sun rays are different from the sun. We see it like that. The sun is there, the sun rays are here. Because we live in the world of duality still. But the one who is in God consciousness, who is established, only sees the sun. He only sees that everywhere. So I will tell you something. This time we did Krishna Connect. It was an opening practice just for you to get a flavor of this. I've done different levels. There is another level to this. So what we did, with our first group was, let's practice. Let's put a simulation where you must find a connect with Krishna no matter what you see. So it was literally like a passing the parcel. The first day I would give a cue. So I would give a cue matchbox, or I would give a cue rock. And everybody has to find a connect with Krishna with rock and express that. How do you see Krishna in a rock? Like Sadhguru bolte na, that you say, we love you, Sadhguru says, can you see Sadhguru in everyone? Very hard. I mean, I've tried it, doesn't work. So we try to do that random stuff, not even like just random stuff. Anything you feel like, chair, piece of wood, anything you feel like it. And you have to use that as a cue. Everybody uses that as a cue and find your Krishna connect to that. And that has to be done. So it's like a level 2. Once you get used to it, you can even do that. And it's really, I think it works on your neural circuitry. It does change the way you think and you start looking, and you will find yourself. See, we say Bhagwan ka chintan karo, par wo nahi hota hai. The moment the practice drops, this 21-day practice stops. No, I am back to my worldly life. Otherwise, I'm sitting in office and thinking, okay, what am I going to do for Krishna today? Then there is chintan. In the background, the chintan is running all the time. There is a flow that is happening. I may still be doing my work, but once the practice stops, no, I'm just doing work. There is no chintan. Chintan happens only when I get back on the mat. So that's a little difference there. Okay, so this is how an enlightened being views the world. So this is from Swami Mukundananda. So he also says that the soul is also simultaneously one with and different from God. Hence, those whose minds are fully absorbed in God consciousness see the whole world in its unity with God as non-different from Him. So this is just for you to know the Bhakti commentary perspective on it. This is, from my teacher, James, I think. Okay, so no, this is from Swami Sarvapriyananda. So he says, dream is the creation of an individual mind, correct? Dream is the creation of an individual mind. What is the world? The world is an appearance in consciousness. This is the Advaita perspective. I gave you the Bhakti perspective, Swami Mukundananda. This is the Advaita perspective. Advaita says there is only one consciousness, everything is one, the whole world is Maya. It is the reflection of this consciousness in the world that is simply an appearance. It is not really there. It is nothing is real. That the world is mithya and it is simply an appearance of Brahman. Now, before we go into this, he mentions very nice. I like this statement. He said, someone had asked Vivekananda, you said that all is God. And that is the meaning of Brahmarpanam. Brahmarpanam. I am making my offering considering that everything is God. So that person said, Swami Vivekananda said, you said that everything is God. So Swami Vivekananda said, I did not say that. I did not say that all is God. I said God only is. Nothing else is. Do you get that? I did not say all is God. I said God only is. Nothing else is. Which totally aligns with the Advaita, that everything else is just reflection. Nothing is, it is nothing. That Maya is nothing. I like the way he explained and he put it. Now, Swami Sarvapriyananda, in his commentary, he has spent a lot of time on this verse. He has gone into the whole Advaita theory and explained. I'm not getting into all that. If you want, you can listen to it directly. He also went into the Sanskrit, picking up certain, you know, uh, ways of looking at things in, like just as sandhi hota hai na, Sanskrit mein we have sandhi. Sandhi is a way to understand how words join. Like that, he has used methods like this or tools like this to explain things in the shloka. Like one of the things that he says is the samadhikaran. He says samadhikaran means that you see the same thing in different forms. For example, Vishnu Sahasranam has 1,000 names of Vishnu, but all 1,000 names are pointing only towards Vishnu. So Samadhi Karan is one way of looking at it. Like this, he has given 1, 2, 3, 4 many things. It's like a very dissecting approach to understand. It did not interest me too much beyond a point, but little bit nice to know. I just picked this much, but if you're interested, you can listen to that. I'm just letting you know how he has explained it. So Brahma Karma Samadhi, Brahma Karma Samadhi. So, implying that all activities are also Brahman. So, Osho also speaks of it. He says, Brahma Rupi Karma Me Samadhisht Vyakti. Brahma Rupi Karma Me Samadhisht Vyakti, meaning the one whose activities are such that they also become Brahman. And that can happen only if he is established in Akarta. So, now very interesting, he says that it is all about drishti. And this is what I like from Swami Sarvapriyananda's commentary. So he says it does not mean that you have to be a sannyasi and leave the world and only then you will see everything as Brahman and like that. He says even a householder can develop this Brahma Drishti. So he says everything can be seen at two levels. And this again, he says there is something called as a Vyavaharik level. Vyavaharik level is our mundane functional level. And there is something as called as the Prathmikta level. Prathmikta is the higher level, the consciousness level. It's a different dimension. So if you can start looking at the functional is simply a reflection of that, then you can develop this Brahma Drishti. And really the whole Advaita philosophy is about building this drishti, to see God in all. This is what they're trying to tell you. Only then you will see oneness. Otherwise, how can you see oneness? So so Arjun is being told that an enlightened being sees tragedy and comedy also as an appearance. And the uniting factor there is that both are not true. See, this is what they're saying. So the world is an appearance, it's not true. So he will also see there will be good, there will be bad. He gives the analogy of the movie screen and images on the movie screen. So don't get identified with the images on the movie screen. The one who is established in Ishvara consciousness is seeing the screen, is still seeing the images on the screen, but he knows the screen, which is the Prathmikta level. Prathmikta level is the white screen. The images happening on that is the Vyavaharik level, which is the functional mundane stuff that we go through. So we only have the drishti for that mundane stuff which is happening on the screen, and we lose sight of the blank screen. So that needs to be developed. So he is telling Arjun to start seeing that, tragedy, comedy, both is one. You just you see the blankness of the screen. So he is telling him Brahma Karma Samadhi. That, see, again, Krishna is telling Arjun, engage in karma, Brahma Karma. See this as Brahma Karma. Brahma Rupi Karma mein samadhisht hokar, Arjun, you engage in action. Don't see this ki bura hoga, I will kill people, I will get paap and punya. Don't get into paap and punya. There is no paap and punya. So this is how you can engage in activity by applying Brahma Drishti. That's what he's saying. Okay. So all right. So this is from
Can you explain Brahma Drishti again? I didn't quite get it.
Okay, so Brahma Drishti means seeing that same consciousness everywhere. For example, Vishnu. Vishnu, if I look at Vishnu, then I say, okay, this is God Vishnu. So he is Brahman. Okay, he is Brahman. But there are 1,000 names of Vishnu. Okay, Vishnu Sahasranam has 1,000 names. So can I see Vishnu also in this name? Can I now see Vishnu in Varsha also? So Brahma Drishti means I am seeing that same consciousness in everything around me, like Krishna Connect. Okay, if I'm saying stone and I'm telling you, see Krishna even in the stone, then that's like developing and building Brahma Drishti, where you start seeing the same consciousness in everything that surrounds you. Okay, so what does that mean? That means there is a movie screen which is white, but there are many images on it. So don't just keep looking at images and say, okay, this is Vishnu, but the rest of it is not Vishnu. Vishnu is that white screen. Everything else is just a reflection of that. Am I making sense? Yeah, you got it? Okay. All right. Now, see, this is from my teacher, James, when I studied with him just a little bit. I just want to highlight it. So he speaks of this whole idea of yagna. See, when they are describing the yagna, they are saying you put ghee in it, you put wheat in it, you take the ladle, all of that. So these are all instruments and tools that you are using in a yagna. This and James and even Osho will go on, and I'm coming to Osho's commentary. This body itself is your Havan Kund. This body is the Havan Kund. That navel space is your fire pit, is your Havan Kund. We put everything in there. So our hands, feet, mouth through which we are eating, all of these are instruments. And then once it goes inside, it is being processed through Jathara Agni. There is Agni in the system. There is fire in the system which will process the food. There is Agni here which processes information. That is why, in Ayurveda, when we say Pitta people, Pitta is associated with fire, with heat. So information processing is a fire process. Vision and is connected with Pitta. So the fire processes information, and that's how we are able to glean, sort out, make sense of things. If your fire is weak, then you're just getting loaded with information. You're not able to process it and digest it. So the instruments are here, the processing is also here. He's telling you are the Havan Kund. So a state of fuller consciousness, he says, is accessed as my actions and consumption are offered into the fire of centered awareness. So your consumption not just of food, but ahar is happening in terms of whatever is getting captured by your sight, through your ears, through your senses. Consumption is happening through senses, correct? So whatever consumption is happening through senses and the actions that are following that, let that be Brahma Karma Samadhi. Like it is being told to Arjun, make it like Brahma Karma Samadhi. See everything and hear everything and see that same consciousness everywhere and offer it into the fire, into the Havan Kund, which is sitting there in your navel region. Manipurka is your Havan Kund. Offer everything there. So this is how James had, touched on it. I like that. So
Swati, one quick analogy to Yoga Sutras where they say the grahana, grahitar,
Grahanyayeshu.
right?
Grahan, grahitra, grahanyayeshu.
Yeah, become one when the subject and the object and the act of the holding the object is the one. I'm thinking that probably is
correct. And
similar.
then you come into Savitarka Samapatti. Grahan, grahitra, grahan, grahayeshu. तत्स्तदंजनता सवितर्क समापत्ति सवितर्क समापत्ति हो जाती है उससे. So it's the first level of samadhi when you know.
Awesome.
So this is like our Archimedes example there, where he had that moment. Remember that moment of buoyancy, but it does not stay. That is the thing with Savitarka Samadhi. It is a first level of Samadhi. It begins with scientific inquiry, and then as you stay with it, the concentration becomes so deep that suddenly mind becomes no mind. There is a little gap. Mind changes to no mind, and in that moment, there is a Savitarka Samapatti. That is the first level of Samadhi that happens, but it doesn't stay. That is why Osho says Savitarka Samadhi is no Samadhi. So, okay. It's a namesake Samadhi, he says. All right, I covered this. Now we'll go into Osho's commentary. So what does it mean to see Ishvara in all? How can you see Ishvara in all? So Osho says, as long as your life is I, me, and my centered, you cannot see Ishvara in all. It cannot happen, okay? And he says, understanding is not the same as knowing. Samajna or janna, do alag cheeze hai. In fact, he asks sometimes, do you want to know or do you want to be? आप समझना चाहते हैं कि आप होना चाहते हैं? Many times, see, all the study is about samajna. आप समझना चाहते हैं कि आप होना चाहते हैं. Do you want to merge into Krishna and become that consciousness and be like that? Then you don't need the study for it. You can simply merge into Krishna consciousness, and then whatever is known to Krishna is known to you. Like how Shiva tells Parvati, you just come sit in my lap and I will absorb you in and you will know everything. You don't need to study like these sages to whom I'm giving, expounding all these theories, etc. So, aap समझना चाहते हैं कि आप होना चाहते हैं. It was very thought-provoking for me, considering that, yes, I enjoy academics. I like to study. So this was, people like us need to reflect on this. So can we practice seeing Ishvara? So Osho gives this story from his real life, okay? He says one of our sannyasis had bought this, this sadhak to their ashram, and he said the sannyasi told Osho that Osho in he sees God everywhere. He has been practicing for 30 years now, in even a pillar, everywhere he sees God. So Osho is he's like, that is a very beautiful thing to happen if you can, if that has become a reality for you. But he tells him something. He says, for 3 days, whatever practice you have been doing, just stop it. Just for 3 days. अब आप 30 साल से कर रहे हैं, अब आप 3 दिन छोड़ दें practice. So that sadhak agrees, and by the end of the first day, he goes to Osho and he's like, what have you done to me? I could see God in the pillar, I could see God in the wall, and now because I did not practice for 1 day, I am just seeing the pillar as pillar and wall as wall. So this is the problem. Osho says, when you are projecting all the time, ahamkar still exists. You're just projecting and you start believing that everything is God, but you are not really seeing God, because God cannot become a reality for you till the I dissolves. And a very beautiful thing he says is that the wall of I, which covers, is a transparent wall. It's like a glass wall. So you don't even see that there is a wall because it's transparent. You don't even know it is there. But if you were to go and bang, you would bang against it, even though you can see everything outside. And this is also explained in Yoga Sutras. We had done this, that last stage is like a transparent glass wall. You have to go past that also. So this ahamkar is something like that. So he says it is not going to happen through projection. You cannot experience Ishvara through practice. You can only experience Ishvara through dissolution of ego. Just, offer everything to him. Otherwise, your ahamkar is practicing this. You are not, you're not, it's the ahamkar which is practicing the seeing of Brahman everywhere. It is simply imposing something. Now, okay, another very nice story. He says this idea of ahamkar. So this particular sadhak was projecting through his ahamkar to see God in all. I am going to see God in all. See, there is an I which exists. No, who is practicing? I am practicing. I am going to see God in all. So I am going to see this. So that I still exists there. And if the practice is not done, you see, simply like this. You keep doing Krishna Connect practice. Yes, somewhere you are connected to Krishna. Stop the practice, Krishna disappears. It is true, the chintan disappears. So it is because all of us, the ego glue still exists. We have not become liberated yet. So then he gives this very beautiful story. I really like this. So there is a Sufi saint. It's a cold winter night, and there is a thief who is in that neighborhood. So the Sufi saint is sitting in his bed praying. It is maybe 10:30 in the night, and suddenly he hears all these noises. So he gets up and he checks, who is it? He asks, who is it? So that thief says, first he doesn't say anything. Then finally he puts on a little light and he says, I'm a thief. I came here to rob. So the Sufi saint says, oh, it is so cold. You're not even wearing anything. Sit down. He takes out his blanket and gives it to him. So that thief is very perplexed, that I have come to steal things from his house and this is how he's treating me. So he says, you came to steal in my house? My house, I'm such a poor man. I don't even have anything, but you have made me feel so rich that you came to my house to steal something. So he takes out 10 rupees. He says, this is all I have. You take this. He wraps him in a blanket, gives him 10 rupees. He says, I don't have anything else. If I had some food, I would have given it to you. He says, are you okay now? Now you can go. So the thief leaves. Okay, he's totally baffled by this by the Sufi's response. And then the Sufi is feeling very good within himself. He's feeling very grateful that someone thought that I can also be of used to somebody, that a thief can come and take something from me. I can be of offering to somebody. So he's sitting looking at the moon and he says, oh, if I could get the moon, I would have given it to this thief. That is his state of consciousness. Okay. And then that thief gets caught. He has done some other robberies also. So he spends 2 years in jail. Then he comes back, and he comes back to the Sufi and he says that you are the first person who treated me like a human being. So this Sufi, he did not, when he heard that little noise when the thief came in, he did not get afraid. He did not start shouting. He did not start calling everybody. This Sufi does not see a thief in a thief. He sees a friend even in a thief. Why? Because he established in that. Because within himself there is no चोर. ओशो बोलते हैं उसके अंदर चोर है ही नहीं, तो उसको चोर बाहर दिखाई नहीं देता है. We only see outside what we have inside. You know, this is going to come up later in Gita, but Osho, I will mention this because it was very revealing for me, and it is from the Talmud, the Jewish sacred text. It says that you don't see things as they are. You see things as who you are. That is why all of us have different perspectives on the same thing, because it depends upon our unique prism and whatever consciousness we are in. So he does not see a thief as a thief. He sees the thief also as a friend. And this is a person who is beyond ahamkar. There is no ahamkar in him. So he is truly Brahma Karma Samadhi. His karma is like Brahma. Everything. Then his action is also Brahma. Whatever his living, talking, walking, everything is Brahma, because his ego has dissolved. So what is inside is what is outside. All right. We think who we are. Brahma. So इसी को ओशो बोलते हैं ब्रह्म रूपी कर्म में समाधिष्ट व्यक्ति. And so he says that till duality is dropped within, oneness cannot rise. So the ego is the place of duality. If ego exists, duality exists. And only when one starts feeling that unity within, that you can begin to see Ishvara or Brahman everywhere. Okay. Now, this is very nice. Osho says this. See, remember when we did the recap, among the characteristics of the enlightened beings, the last one that we did was Dvandvatit. He becomes Dvandvatit. Only if you become Dvandvatit, you go beyond duality, can you come into Brahmarpanam Brahma Havir Brahmagnam. Only then you can see oneness. So the sequence that Krishna, Osho has mentioned that sequence. First, he says Dvandvatit, then he speaks of being able to see everything as Brahman. So this Brahma Rupi Karma mein Samadhisht Vyakti, such a person is in Samadhi, he says. Samadhi is, remember we spoke, Samadhi comes from the word Samadhan, which means solution. There is no problem in this person's life. Everything is a solution. Thief coming to my house is also a solution. I think this is, if things like this happen in life, this should happen to all of us, no, while we are still alive. I don't want to become liberated when I'm dead. What is the point of it? We should be able to do this while we are alive. So nice. Life would be so good for us and for people around us, where you don't see anything as bad. Your drishti has changed. So really, I don't know what it needs to clean up this drishti, maybe, and it also depends upon the baggage of karma that we are carrying. But how beautiful. It's like that's when I started yoga. Thing for me with Yoga Sutras was, if this happens, then this should happen to me. This must happen to us. It's not for studying. It must become a reality in our life. So this person is in a state of solution. Okay, the next one. Some worship the celestial gods with the material offerings unto them. Others worship perfectly, who offer the self as sacrifice in the fire of the supreme truth. So, I'm going to, okay. So here again, he's elaborating on that, the yagna. The life is a yagna. And whatever, and this whole, our own system is the Havan Kund. Okay. Before I go into this is Osho's. I want to read out something from my teacher, James. So James used to say, he says, the basic meaning of yagna. Okay, sorry, I'll take that up in the next slide. Let's go ahead with this. So here, dharma is connected to unseen, correct? And it is about the ultimate concern. That is what dharma is. It's about the ultimate thing in life. Now, it is it is connected with a cosmic experience, and to express a cosmic experience in words becomes very difficult. We've heard the enlightened beings say their struggle about it. Sadhguru says, it just because because language is dualistic. Language itself is dualistic. If I have to say yes, there is always a no. So how do you say a yes without a no? So a cosmic experience is difficult to express in words, and words help, but they can also become a block. And this is what Osho is saying, that some worship the celestial gods, the things which were meant to be symbols, things which were meant to be pointers, because words are needed to guide people in a certain direction. People became obsessed with words. See, this is where, when we began chapter 4, he says, lupt praya, because people got so caught up in Shastra. When you get so caught up in Shastra, then the actual doing and knowing is not happening. Parampara lupt ho jati hai. It becomes sort of, it fades, it becomes very faint. So that fainting, that faint idea is being captured here also. So Osho gives this example. He says, see, Buddha was pointing a finger in a certain direction, saying, follow this path towards nirvana. Now, if people start taking his finger and start worshipping the finger, what to do? In another chapter, Osho speaks of this, and he says, see, Buddha, during Buddha's time, there was no Buddhism when Buddha was there, okay? There was no Buddhism. Buddha was there, he gave a practice, people were following, there were sanghas. There were no statues of Buddha. Over a period, and he was never about idol worship. Okay, Buddha was not about idol. Today, there is no end to Buddha statues. I have many in my house also, and people keep gifting it to me. And you go to Thailand, and we all go see the lying down Buddha and all of that, and the stupas. Today, it's become about Buddha worship. Buddha was not about that. So this is the problem with human beings and with the mind. It needs an object. And Osho says this, then he also says, all right, fine, if an object will help you, at least it helps you focus in a certain direction. That's why these objects came about. Initially, they used to practice Buddhism without that. They only had that Bodhi tree. So the Bodhi tree was connected with the concentration of Buddha energy. But then people found it difficult to concentrate, and that's where the statues and all started coming up. Somewhere Osho has spoken of that. So if we start worshipping the finger and don't walk the direction, that's a problem. Then Osho says it is better not to point the finger. People would have gotten frustrated and at least moved, at least done something about it. Now the finger is becoming a problem. Symbols and words are becoming a problem. So we'll go into this further. This is from my teacher, James. He says, yagna is an attitude that we carry within ourselves, okay? So and many people think that, you can stop at yagna itself. So James says, by working with the support of the gods, see, whenever a yagna is done, it is done like a Ganesh homam, or you will do like a Devi homam, or you would do, a Sudarshan homam. It is done for a certain god. So this god is like, it's a way of orienting yourself towards a certain representation of that which is beyond name and form. That is how these yagnas were designed. This is how James explains it. Like we have Ganesha or a Shiva. It's a form which is representing or pointing you in a direction to that which cannot be expressed in words, okay? So these are structures for the lenses of our awareness to connect to, he says, and build from, so we can connect more with the underlying conscious essence. So the form exists so the finger which is pointing exists so that you will walk the path, not start worshipping the finger itself, okay? It is meant to take us deeper. Now, making life into a yagna. Pay attention to this. It is one of the most I found this brilliant when I read it first time from Osho. What is happening in a yagna? In a yagna, there is a havan, there is a fire, okay? What is the quality of fire? Fire always moves upwards. When a human being is following a spiritual path, his consciousness is just like fire that starts moving upwards. So don't think the fire is just a Havan Kund and the fire there. It's the consciousness inside your system. The moment you become spiritually oriented, your fire begins to start moving upwards, and you will see your interest in many things which you had earlier will begin to drop off. Are you noticing this? Are you all noticing? Certain kinds of interests just drop off. They just wither away. You know, they're like those, now it's like a distraction, or you just don't have that interest anymore. So, so fire is always urdhvagami, upar ki taraf jati hai. It's always upwards. Second thing about fire is that it purifies. You put rubbish in it, it will burn and purify that. You put something good, you know, gold bhi nikhar ke aa jata hai fire se, isn't it? Even that will become purified. So any impurity, you will put it in fire, it will burn. And that is why fire is very symbolic of dharma. Because when you follow the path of dharma, when you follow your dharma, you purify yourself. So fire is very, very symbolic there. What happens to the fire? Fire is there, then up you can see the fire up to a certain point. Okay, there is a flame up to a certain point, and then the smoke, it just simply merges into space, isn't it? Fire, smoke, and then if you've seen the Havan, it merges into space. So those who are on the spiritual path, up to a point, you know that I am, because that fire is there in me. I'm seeing the fire is going. So up to a point, I know I am. What is I am? Asmita. Do you remember from Yoga Sutras? Asmita. Asmita means it's amness. Asmita was translated as amness in Yoga Sutras. What is amness? It is just an awareness that I am. But in Asmita, in I amness, my I is not against anybody else's I. It is simply an awareness that I am. It is simply that sense of amness. So this is what happens with fire. There are two stages. The first stage is that of I am, and then once it reaches the tip, that I amness also disappears. It disappears into space, isn't it? So these two aspects, this is what Osho says. The first aspect, till you can see the fire, is the stage of a sant. Sant, a saint, is very easy to identify, right? Saint, and then the second state is of a sage. A sage is like a mystic, where his fire has fully burnt, he's out, you cannot identify him. That's the mystic, Neem Karoli Baba. Difficult to identify him. Difficult to see this man as a sadhu. He is so, he's evolved, he is a jnani. It may be difficult to identify him, isn't it? Whereas somebody who is sitting in a temple, still doing the puja, rituals, or, you know, doing these classes, teaching other people, and his fire may be very high, but it is not gone to the point where it has merged with space. Does that make sense? So there are two stages in the fire. So one who dissolves into Ishvara, that is a point of no return. So the sage is at the point of no return. Fire can still drop down, but sage goes beyond. He's merged into space. Now he's with Ishvara. So it's like, you know, at that point, it's the drop which falls into the ocean. At that point, then the sage is born. The drop falls into the ocean and he himself becomes Ishvara. That's why we say, no, many of these enlightened beings, they are Krishna consciousness, because the drop has fallen into the ocean and become the ocean itself. All right. So this is the inner fire. Okay. Then we use many materials. This is the inner fire that we are talking, okay? It's the Havan Kund. I'm drawing the parallels with the body. We are the Havan Kund. The fire is inside us. We are spiritual seekers. It is rising upwards. What are we going to put inside the fire? Many materials are put inside the Havan Kund. So two main things which were put in the Vedic times in the Havan Kund was wheat. Wheat was put because it was easily available and it would grow in the earth. So wheat was put inside the Havan Kund. Second thing that is put was ghee, right? And Agni was also metaphorical because, so, if you look at Baba Ramdev's videos or YouTube sometimes, he will come on stage, he will be doing his asana practice and he has his troupe, and there is a little Havan Kund there, which always, I found it very strange, but he keeps it burning. And that is how it was in earlier times, that even in Guru's ashrams and all, they would always keep the Havan Kund of fire burning because it was symbolic and a reminder for everybody that you have this, that it's a reminder that you must work on yourself, okay? Purify yourself. So every opportunity that you get, just living your life, this itself becomes a training ground and an opportunity to purify ourselves. So the Havan Kund in those times was meant to be like a symbol, but we start turning the symbol itself into everything. It is not everything, it is a symbol so that you will start working on yourself. So you can worship the fire, but it is not about worshiping the fire, it is about internalizing it. So those people who understood the meaning of these symbols, for them it was all about one's inner consciousness. So ghee and wheat, which are put inside this fire of consciousness, what is it that we are putting? We are putting life itself. You put your life itself, your own actions, your breath, everything is going inside this Havan Kund. Now let's look at so wheat is easily available. They would put that. Wheat is also seeds, right? Wheat is also symbolic of seeds. And we say, it is nice now if we can burn some seeds even before they rise, especially seeds of ahamkar. So we take those wheats and seeds of ahamkar and just put it into the fire, so they don't even get a chance to rise. And I think this is what grace is, that sometimes, like in Neem Karoli Baba's story, he said no, for that man, he took away his desire for prasad. So he could give so nicely. There was no ahamkar, because you can give nicely only when you don't think it is yours. So he took away that desire from him. And this is grace. Only through grace it can happen. Or through this sort of an abhyas where, awareness, consciousness. If you become aware at that moment, the seed pops up. Plop, plop, it's gone. Before the seed is getting sprouted, you have put it into the fire. This is the fire of awareness. For us, when Osho tells us, when Sadhguru tells us, be aware, act consciously, then when consciousness is high, awareness is high, light is shining bright, we are catching what is happening inside us, like seeds, like wheat, and throwing into the fire. So they will just burn. It will not have any repercussion. So that is what is being suggested here, wheat. And then there is ghee. So ghee increases fire, correct? You put ghee, it will increase. Jivan ki jyoti. Now, what happens in a fire? You put burai, you put that which is not nice, and the fire reduces. You put achai, you put some punya, you do something good and you put in that, the fire increases. So ghee is something like that. It's like punya. You put a little punya inside, which is acts of punya. You do that, your fire will increase. And ghee is, Osho says, is like punya, because he says, see, ghee is not very easily available like wheat, like seeds, which are just popping here and there everywhere in the earth, so easily available. You can put the seeds are like that. But he says ghee starts from milk, cream, butter. You run the whole process, then you will get a little bit of ghee, a little bit of punya will come out. So this punya, when you offer into the fire of consciousness, which means your Brahma karma samadhi, meaning an act of punya which you are offering, is like the ghee which will increase your jivan ki jyot, which will increase your fire of consciousness. So so Osho, of course, says you need a poetic perspective to understand these symbols. And so inauspiciousness will reduce our chetna, auspicious acts will increase our chetna. The flame auspicious increases the chitta.
Quick question.
Yes.
Just the second part where you compared that fire purifies, and then you said it was symbolic to dharma. So what does it mean? Like when you follow dharma, you're purified? You know, like the three different things you said, fire moves upwards. That was number one.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, you said fire purifies. So like
Correct.
fire is
Correct.
symbolic of dharma.
Correct.
So does
Fire
it
is
mean when
symbol.
you're following dharma, you're getting
Yes.
purified?
Isn't it?
Okay.
Isn't it?
Yes.
When we
Yes.
are following our, that is why Krishna is telling Arjuna, you follow your dharma, Arjun, you don't worry about pap and punya. You follow your dharma because this is where you will come into your samadhi. Your dharma is that of a warrior. You cannot drop it now because this is a rare opportunity for you and you will come into your samadhi. Make it Brahma Karma Samadhi. Make it like that through this drishti. So then I spoke of this, the saint and the sage, which I clarified earlier. Now this is from Swami. How did you like that? I loved that explanation from Osho. I really liked how he explained, it's so nice to look at it like this, to be aware that the Havan is inside me. And when you look at it like this, at least in some moments, I put a lot of junk food in my body. I have a weakness for Haldiram. So I will get into my tidbits here and there. But when I suddenly, if I am in this awareness and I'm like, what am I offering in this Havan Kund? How can I put this rubbish in my Havan Kund? But that's very rare. Mostly, no, the Haldiram compulsions in my life are still very strong. No amount of Shambhavi has cured it, okay? So just to let you know. All right. Swami Mukundananda says, this is called Atma Samarpan or Atma Ahute, where you are offering one's soul to God. So he quotes Yogi Sri Krishna Prem explained this very well. In this world of dust and din, whenever one makes Atma Ahuti, in the flame of divine love, there is an explosion which is grace. For no true Atma Ahuti can ever go in vain. But what is the process of offering one's own self as sacrifice? This is performed by surrendering oneself completely to God. Such surrender has 6 aspects to it, which have been explained in verse 18 point last chapter of Gita. This is to give you a flavor of how a bhakti commentator, he will always see you just offer everything to God and his grace will cover you. This is how they explain it, just for perspective. So what to do if my awareness is not reflexively acting in that state of recognizing all as yagna? So recognizing everything as yagna, the verses now go on to encode lots of different approaches and techniques for ways we can practice aligning ourselves with this spirit of yagnic action. So this is all from James. 26. Others offer hearing and other senses in the sacrificial fire of restraint. Still others offer sound and other objects of the senses as sacrifice in the fire of the senses. So what can we offer in this fire? Now, 1 second. Okay. Now, see, our senses. Oh, there is something I wanted to. Jnana Deepti, where is that word? I wanted to highlight that because the. Oh, sorry. Yeah, one moment. Okay, maybe it's in Osho's Hindi commentary. It's not in Sanskrit. He uses the word Jnana Deepti in connection with these sutras in one of the shlokas here. And Ratna, just for you to know, Jnana Deepti is a word that comes up in Yoga Sutras. Jnana Deepti Aviveka Khatir. I don't know the sutra number.
Okay.
Jnana Deepti Aviveka Khati. This is connected with Gyan here. Yeah. So I just wanted to point out, maybe it is in his Hindi explanation, he has said Gyana Deepti. I'll have to relook. I'll let you know. Okay. So normally, what do we offer to God? So when you're doing your prayer, we offer flowers to God. We offer fruits to God. We will cook what we like because khana to hame hi padega. So we offer that to God. So we offer whatever pleases our senses, thinking that God is also like us and he will like that. Osho says, You think God is some kind of a kid? You can give him some toys and please him like this. So he makes fun. He's very very funny there. He says, you don't offer God flowers, fruits, some little thing you've cooked here. You offer that which finds pleasure from this. So the sense of eyes find pleasure in the flowers. You don't offer flowers, you offer your eyes. You offer the sense itself. You offer the sense of taste itself. You don't offer food. You offer the sense of taste itself to God. This is what he says is really, is genuine offering. This is what we should offer. Not जो तुम्हारी सेंसेस को प्रीति कर लगता है, पर जो सेंसेस हैं which attract these things, those senses itself you offer to God. So normally we've done this before, but just to go into this again, we find something beautiful, okay? We think that something is beautiful and therefore we are attracted towards it. This is how we normally perceive that, oh, it's so beautiful, that's why I got attracted to it. Osho says it's not like this. The way the senses work is that first there is attraction and then it's very subtle. There's attraction and then there's beauty. It's a millisecond process, but this is how the process works. So he says, a woman is walking on the street. You're just simply looking at her. This is eyes doing their job of looking. Obviously, the purpose of the eyes is to look. So a woman is walking, you look at her. But the woman is walking, you see, and a commentary runs in your head. So pretty. A commentary ran into your head. So pretty. Now you have assigned beauty to her. And therefore, you are attracted to it. Therefore, you are attracted to it. It is not that she is attractive and therefore you say she's, because you have assigned beauty caption to her, you are attracted to it. Till then, she was simply a woman. You saw she was walking from this side to that side. That's all. So this has to be understood. He says, the moment you assign this thing, okay, it's a little subtle. I just want to make sure I explain it properly. So, okay, we're in a shop, okay? So many things. Some things, yeah, we just look at, okay, you're doing your window shopping. Then on a particular object, you stop. One object really captures you because you were looking at 10 other objects. At the 11th object, you just stopped. Why did you stop? Because the mind ran a commentary. What a pretty pot. Mind ran a commentary. What a pretty pot. Now my senses are not just looking at this pot, they have gone out and touched it. Sparsh. Osho says, aapne apni aankhon se use sparsh kar liya. This sparsh is like ahamkar that has gone and touched it. And what is ahamkar? It is simply glue. It goes and touches it. And that is why Sadhguru says, no, you are like glue. Wherever you walk, everything sticks to you. That is why every day you need your Shambhavi and you need your Kriya to wash off all those things. Otherwise, one room to the other room to the third room, you are a big mess. You're just carrying loads of everything that you see is like... So this is how it is. Osho says, aapne sparsh kar liya. Now your eyes are not doing the job which is simply of seeing. They are doing bhoga. Eyes are doing bhoga. It is not utility. Utility of the eyes is I can see. I can see 10 objects, but the 11th object I'm not just seeing. I am enticed by it. I am attracted. In some way, a sort of thin entanglement has formed. Sometimes, remember, we have all gone through this. There is something that we
you are
want.
referring to judgment, right? The word judgment would...
Yeah, judgment. Yes, it is. It's the mind has made a judgment, has made a decision, a conclusion about an object, that it's beautiful, it is ugly. Yes, it's a judgment. So the moment we have done that, yes,
I think
Pooja.
isn't it more your mind is assigning some value to it,
So
whether it's
judgment-
good or bad, or even indifference is a value. Because
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So indifference, good, bad, these are all judgments. Judgment leads you to assign something as good, bad, or indifferent. Correct? So it's still a judgment. It's a call that you took. But you can also, many times we simply walk, we just see, we don't assign any value. We may just be seeing, like some stranger came, walked past. You don't assign any value, you just saw. Somebody came, asked you, did you see somebody pass by? Yes, I saw somebody pass by. There's no judgment there, just simply seeing. Now there the eyes performed their job of seeing, but the moment you have assigned that, you have judged that, you have gotten entangled. So now it is bhoga, especially if it's beauty. We're talking of attraction here. So, oh, this is so beautiful. Now the moment you said it's beautiful, it is bhoga. It's not just utility. So senses, this is how senses lose their sanyam. They are not in Sanyam. Senses are in Sanyam as long as they are in utility mode. If they go in Bhoga mode, they are not in Sanyam. Does it mean that an enlightened being cannot enjoy? He can enjoy. But the enlightened being has available to both dimensions, the Vyavaharik dimension as well as the Paramarthik dimension. So he is totally Sanyam there, but he can enjoy also. What a nice state to be, and we should all be in those states. Right now, it's like we are struggling. So should I stop enjoying things? No, that's a miserable life. So, but this is just for understanding and for awareness. Through practice, probably these things arise. So this is from Osho. Sanyam. Sanyam is awareness, conscious of the difference between using and enjoying. I clarified that. Shall we run away from what is attractive? That will be suppression. That will not be Sanyam. So we cannot practice Sanyam like that. So how will Sanyam happen? Practice, practice, practice. There is no other way. You practice till your compulsions and your fire dissolves the impurities in you. Sanyam will not happen. You can keep even through awareness, the practice of awareness, some amount of Sanyam can be bought, because the moment you're aware, you know you're leaning to this side, you will start leaning to this side. So that will help establish the Sanyam. We studied that. I'm not going back into it. Wherever senses touch, they will create bandhan. वो तो है, that will create bondage. Now it has, यहाँ स्पर्श हो गया, ये अच्छा है, ये अच्छा नहीं है. Now we've assigned values, judgments, and that's creating entanglement and bondage. So when they don't touch and they simply see, then there is no bandhan. Hog bandhan hai, utilization is not bandhan. Osho has said that. So ओशो बोलते हैं जो इंद्रियों से उपयोग लेता है, भोग नहीं लेता, इंद्रियों से उपयोग लेना, then your senses themselves can be offered into they are worthy of offering. That is what you should offer. This is what we should be offering in the sacrificial fire. So he gives this one example. He says, seeing somebody, this is a very simple act. It's a very simple act. This is the purpose of eyes. If I have eyes, obviously I will see. But when you assign that value, when you judge, so when you see somebody, he says it's like a line drawn in water. It's just like a line drawn in water, it will disappear immediately. But when you assign value, it's like a line drawn in stone. I don't know how many lines we've drawn in stone. Then the bandhan happens, because now it's become hard coded. So, because that is when the birth of desire happens. Once the first attraction has happened, you have assigned it. Sunrise. So many of us. Oh, what a beautiful, how many sunrises have we seen in our lifetime? Still, we have this desire and this attraction. I want to go see the sunrise again, because it is the birth of desire. It will, it just keeps getting aggravated. That is how it is. He's really giving you the scientific process behind it. What creates attraction? What creates bondage? What creates desire? Where is the source? You just by knowing, you cannot get past it. Just by knowing the process of it, we cannot get past it. But if we follow certain practices, we can rise above it. That is how it is. Now, there is one very nice example Osho gives. See, you go for a walk every day. And I like this because it is so Okay. So you're going on a walk. You go on a walk every day. There is somebody who you see every day, you cross paths and you always say hello. It's been going on few months. Every day you see each other, you say hello. Then one day you're walking and this person doesn't even look at you and just walks past. So you wonder, what has happened? You start thinking about it. Why didn't he say hello or whatever? Then for a month you are away on a holiday. Okay, so obviously you miss seeing you're not seeing this guy. When you come back, you're back on that walk and you see him and he simply says hello. Now you may feel, Arey, he just asked me, he just said hello. He didn't even ask me. 1 month I was not here. He didn't even ask me where I was, nothing. This is sparsh. The senses have gone and touched. This is where ego, this is the food for ego. This is how ego rises. This is how ego festers. That's the word I want to use for it. It festers like this. So uh, it's like this. So these are very subtle working of the senses, very it's just a touch, but this sparsh leaves these kind of marks, lines, and stones. 1 second, can you just give me 2 minutes? My leg has got cramped. Sorry, just give me 2 minutes. Sorry, just take a 2-minute break. Ah.
Swati, if you take the middle toe and pull it backwards, it will stop the cramp.
That reminds me of there's a, I don't know if you did inner engineering. Anybody of you have done inner engineering? Yeah, there was I remember Vinay, there was a thing about sensation. Like you see the sensation and then the body, your mind will compare with the previous experience. And then you'll put in the bucket, good bucket, bad bucket, whatever bucket. And that's how, it's always categorized that way. So next time you see something, it's going to be compared with the previous, puts in the same bucket, keeps back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically that's how we kind of accumulate impressions and just the mind is just like a very efficient librarian. So
Yeah.
it organizes thoughts, impressions, and we assign these labels, and then
Yeah.
we are stuck with those labels and we struggle with those. So yeah,
Yeah, like this like a cognition and the recognition again,
right.
and then
Yeah.
I have an inner engineering, but then it also refers to, like, at Vipassana is the same thing. They
yeah,
talk about the previous and your this is where your some scars come in.
yes,
Those are the ones that accumulate all the, pathar pe lakir,
yeah,
all of those, and over multiple lifetimes. And that's why we have certain tendencies versus
correct, yeah.
others. And then doing the sadhana, right, any kriya practice basically will eradicate all those that sit in your subconscious or unconscious mind. But it's like what's interesting is all of this is saying the same thing.
And it's
Correct, yeah.
saying it like 5,000 years back is what really baffles me, that, it's, they were saying this so many years back, and now modern psychology and whatnot is saying that, yeah, this is all in the limbic system, and it's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
prefrontal
Yeah.
cortex, and all these
Cortex.
names
Yep.
are becoming to it.
How are
Okay.
you, Swati?
Yeah.
No, I'm okay. I just got a cramp. Anyhow, never mind that. All right. So let me go back here. Okay. All right. So Osho says that, senses always want to touch and want to receive touch. It's a very nice feeling. And this is the thing of sparsh. With your eyes, you want to touch. With your ears, you want to touch here. With the tongue wants to taste. It's all feeling good. So he says that one needs to become very conscious of this subtle working of the senses. And the more we get just, I think the simple awareness of this can help us, find some freedom from it. Because I mean, that's the only way to dissolve it. You can't, there is no suppression as such. So yes, that is it. There's nothing more on this particular slide. Now he has given
Swati, so
two
one more. This is the
Huh.
basis of marketing.
base. Correct? It
This
is.
is the whole thing
Bilkul.
is
That is what they are playing on this. They are playing on this principle. Absolutely. And all of us are like this. जो लोग practice नहीं करते, though they are not even aware. That is why they are succumbing to all the gimmicks also. It attracts, it pleases. That's true. All right. See, so I will do a little bit more work on this, but there are two types of people. First type of people, they just use their senses. There is no entanglement. They're simply seeing and they're not getting entangled in it. So if you're watching a movie, just be aware next time, am I simply watching it or am I getting entangled in it? How much of it am I touching and how much of it is I'm only seeing and observing? Okay, this is one. So see the sanyam within yourselves. The one who established in Sanyam, his senses are not running towards external objects. Okay. Now, see here he speaks of, there are two kinds of people. The first kind of people, he says, are the ones who break the bridge between the senses and the objects of the senses. Mahavir is like this. People who go into tapasya, who will leave the world, they are like this. Senses and sense objects, bridge is broken. And then obviously, how will the senses get lost? Then there is a second type of people. There are those who have absolute mastery over their senses. They can enjoy totally, but they're totally conscious. This is the second type. Krishna falls in this category. But Osho says there are even tantrics who fall in this category. Like he says, when people go through their tantra studies, at some point they will be given a lot of alcohol to drink. They will be given drugs. They will be bitten by a cobra, and they still have to maintain their level of consciousness, a heightened level of awareness. Only then they pass that, the exam or whatever of the tantra school. That is how they have to be. They can enjoy everything, but they have to be absolutely and totally conscious. So these are the two kinds of people he has mentioned. And and when he's talking about this, he also speaks, and I just want to mention, I mean, it's just interesting how Jainis found it difficult to accept Krishna, because they thought, ये Krishna तो सबके साथ रास लीला भी करता है, ये भी करता है, war भी करवा देता है, and they are all about non-violence. So they had a very big difficulty in accepting Krishna. But still, that is what their intellect said. In their heart, when they look at his eyes, they see such purity that they are not able to ignore him. That also Osho has mentioned, because there is no violence in him, there is no lust in his eyes, there is no anger in him. So Jainis also see that in him. In fact, they have even said that one of the Tirthankars who will come later will be Krishna. So they have both these attitudes towards a man like Krishna. So this type 1 and type 2, Osho has spoken of this in connection with the 26th shloka, saying that Krishna speaks of both these types of people. So he has given a very balanced view in that sense. So I think that is all I have. All right, we'll just go through this 26th. What is, I just copied this from Swami Mukundananda, the path of negation of the senses, which is followed in this is interesting. Huh? So we said type 1 and type 2. One is the negation of the senses, where you break the bridge. Hatha yoga practice does that. That is why it is Hatha yoga. No? There is a certain stubbornness. That is why Sadhguru says it's called Hatha. There's a little hut which is needed to go through that abhyas. I am going to do it no matter what. You need that kind of stubbornness. So in this type of yagna, the actions of the senses are suspended except for the bare maintenance of the body. The mind is completely withdrawn from the senses and made introvert by the force of willpower, which is what Hatha Yoga yogis who are like, just doing their dharana, dhyana, asana, samadhi, just that. Opposite to this is the practice of bhakti yoga, he says. So this is a bhakti commentator's version on this particular shloka. Senses are made to behold the glory of the creator that manifests in every atom of his creation. The senses no longer remain as instruments for material enjoyment, because now all the senses are dedicated towards God himself. They are sublimated to perceive God in everything. In the seventh chapter, 8th verse, Krishna says, Ham apsu kaunteya Arjun, know me to be the taste in water. So that is offer the sense itself. Accordingly, Bhakti yogis practice to behold God through all their senses in everything they see, hear, taste, feel, and smell. This yagna or devotion is simpler than the path of Hatha Yoga. It is joyous to perform and involves the smaller risk of downfall from the path. So this is how Bhakti commentators will speak. But even in Hatha, even when we practice those Kriya Yoga, it is always tapas, swadhyay, ishwar, pranidhana. All three go together. Kriya Yoga is a three-legged stool. So there is tapas, so there is hut. Without hut, tapas cannot happen. You have to have that hut. I am going to do it no matter what. Then there is swadhyay, which is that intelligence and that awareness of what is the practice doing to me and how can I adjust it. So that awareness is very important, and the right kind of fire. Not the fire that burns you, and not the fire which is so low that nothing is happening. So what kind of practice should I be doing? That is swadhyaya. But it all has to be done with devotion, Ishwar Pranidhana. Only then your practice qualifies as Kriya Yoga. Otherwise, it is not Kriya Yoga. So it is not pure Hatha Yoga. We are doing even Hatha Yoga. We don't practice like that. We practice in the context of the Yoga Sutras. So that. All right. Does anybody have anything to say? That's all I got for today. We are on time, 9:35.
Swati, can you explain Hatha Yoga? Like, what do Hatha Yogis do? Like, what?
Hatha Yogis, asana, pranayama, all of that. The yoga practice that you know, that is the dharana, the samadhi, meditation. They will do that.
Okay.
Yeah. But it is not just meditation. They work with their bodies. They work with their breath. They see, ha means ha is left, ha is right. So the left and the right sides of their body, through the body, they're aligning their energies. So body is used as an instrument to align your energies to prepare you for higher states of meditation.
Okay.
That is Hatha Yoga. So does anybody have anything to say?
Swati, so I don't understand this completely. Are you saying that the bhakti perspective and the other one are opposites? Like one is type 1 people and the other is type 2 people? The bhakti are type 2?
Bhakti is not type 2. Type 2 is a very evolved level. Type 2 bhakti practitioners are practitioners. Type 2 is Krishna level, is the tantric level, who are established in that, where you give them the object. They are not into bhakti. See, a tantric is not doing bhakti. You can put him in the middle of, you can give him 20 bottles of whiskey and he will not. It's like a Shiva. Let me tell you, think Shiva. You can give him as much alcohol and his consciousness will not waver. It's, let me tell you this, Neem Karoli Baba. Ramdas, when he went to Neem Karoli Baba, he had heard of him. He carried LSD with him because he had just discovered LSD, and it was, giving him those kicks and those states of samadhi. So he went and he gave Neem Karoli Baba one LSD. Neem Karoli Baba took his entire bottle and gulped it down, and unfazed. This is type 2. Where you can give him any amount of intoxication, any amount of sense pleasures, but Nothing happens to his interiority. He's that well established. His awareness will not flicker. His consciousness will not waver. Type 2 is established one. Bhakti is Hatha Yoga and Bhakti Yoga are practices. Hatha Yoga is a practice where they leave the sense objects. This is olden times, not in today's world. We all, at least the practices, I practice Hatha Yoga, but we practice Hatha Yoga in the context of Yoga Sutras. So for us, it's the Ashtanga Yoga method that we follow, which includes everything: yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyan, samadhi, everything we practice. If you look at pure Hatha Yoga, so if you look at Hatha Yoga Pradipika, which is a book on Hatha Yoga does not have, I don't think it includes yama, niyama. It just does asana, pranayama, etc. And then it is meant to prepare you for higher states of meditation, but it's really the body and the breath. Essentially, intensely, Hatha Yoga is the body and the breath. And working on those energies to prepare you for higher states of meditation. So olden times, Hatha Yoga practitioners, all these yogis who would go to Himalayas, who would practice Suddha asana, etc. Though that was olden times. Then against that, Swami Mukundananda is saying Hatha Yoga is more difficult. Bhakti Yoga is an easier way to work with the senses. Instead of cutting away sense objects, you start seeing God in all sense objects. So that way also your senses will get purified. And he says the path of devotion is easier. So that's a Bhakti commentator's perspective on this particular shloka. Does that make sense? Okay. Anything else? So this chapter is called Gyan Karma Sannyas Yoga. I want to just put this forward. What do you think of sannyas? I'm not fully prepared on this, but I was listening to one of Osho's, the questions Osho was asked. So whatever I can, I will share, but it will be good to discuss. What do you think of sannyas? What is sannyas to you? Do you think you are a sannyasi?
Not at all, because I give in to my senses all the time. But I think a sannyas person is physically in this world, but not really in the world. From what I imagine a sannyas person to do, like not giving into any temptations of the senses is a sannyas.
Okay.
A sannyasi, like one of the biggest, I think, differences between a lay person and a sannyasi is having someone, a sannyasi would not have I don't want to say identity, but he's automatically, you don't have any possessions. Whatever you get, right, during the day, you eat. There is no concept of accumulation. So the ego, it's easier to work with the ego if you're a sannyasi. That's all that's easy. Everything else, I guess, you still have to deal with.
Okay. Anybody else? What are your thoughts on sannyas and sannyasi? Osho says, I have all these sannyasis in my, in the ashram. So what is your take on it? What do you make of sannyasis?
I think
Is it
as
people
hard.
who have given up? Is it people who have given up all the worldly, pleasures and engagement basically with the world?
That is the traditional definition of sannyas. People who give up engagement with the world. They were like Buddha. Sansar chhod diya, palace chhod diya, take a begging bowl. That's what he gave to his son also. And that is the definition of a sannyasi, the old definition of sannyasi. Anybody else?
But the new one was that they can be in the real world, and outside and inside are two different things. So they can be participating in the outside world, whatever is required, but the interiority is not affected by that, and they're on a path that will continue interiorly.
So that is the definition which Krishna is creating in the Bhagavad Gita. He is giving a revolutionary definition of sannyas, that you're going to live in the world and be like a sannyasi. Don't be touched by anything on the outside. So you don't have to go take a begging bowl. Now, I just want to share a few things that I picked up from Osho. So see, in the olden times, people would take sannyas, which is leave the world, leave your home, family, and go into the Himalayas. It also became the lazy man's path. No, it could become it could be an escapist path. No, I don't want to do anything, so I will go take sannyas, I will go sit in the Himalayas. So he speaks very I'll try and pull all that out, but briefly, just to tell you. So he said, if people start doing that, then who's going to do the work? What happens to productivity of a society? Then these sannyasis who are not genuine seekers, but are only escapists, are becoming a burden on society. Earlier, like Osho says, in our tradition, in the olden days when a sannyasi would pass, it's like they say that if your population is of a certain number, then there has to be a ratio of sannyasis to householders, because all householder population needs at least one sannyasi around. So they would say that if you joint families hoti thi, so if you have a joint family, at least one person should become a monk, because that brings grace and well-being to everybody in the family. That's why a particular number of sannyasi, like Dalai Lama also, he has these monks, and the presence of these monks among us brings grace to the rest of the humanity also, because they engage in certain activities which are working on energy dimension. But if you start taking sannyas as an escape route, then you are just a burden on society. You don't do anything. Plus, you come to the householders and you are begging and you're taking food from them also. So Osho says that how, in Lenin's time, and, their king and their orientation towards God and spirituality, uh, you know, whatever happened in Russia, whatever happened in Tibet, the sannyas was wiped out. Everybody had to be productive, everybody had to be engaged. And Osho says more and more this is necessary. You don't have to leave the world and go become a sannyasi. You engage in the world, you be in the marketplace, and you be a sannyasi. And to me, this ties in, for those of you who follow Sadhguru, perfectly with being an undercover yogi. Osho Sadhguru बहुत बोलते हैं, सदगुरु बहुत बोलते हैं, वो बोलते हैं you should all do your practice and become undercover yogis. Nobody can recognize on the outside that you are yogis and what's happening inside you, but inside you're so vibrant. And I found it very fascinating, but really that is what it is. If you become so well established, that's why that facade is needed, because I have to engage in the world, I have to talk like them, I have to walk like them, I have to look like them. So but inside you're a yogi, well established yogi. It's a very beautiful, very, very aspirational thing. But that Osho has spoken of sannyas like that, and I liked what he said, and it made sense. Like he said, so many experiments were done with sannyas in Tibet, and then whatever massacre things that have happened there with the monks, it's all gotten wiped out. So that was a little thing that I wanted to mention on sannyas. And anything else from you? Any thoughts, comments?
So, Swati, is it like detachment while being in engagement?
So yes, yes, think of it like being a lotus. Think of yourself as becoming like a lotus flower. You become a lotus flower. A lotus flower lives in slush, but the slush doesn't stick to the lotus flower, no? The mud doesn't. Think of yourself like that I have to be like a lotus wherever I am. And that takes practice. You cannot take the mud out and I will wipe it out. It doesn't work like that. It will come on its own. As your Agni starts rising up, as purification keeps happening, and purification will happen with the fire of awareness and with sadhana, kriya, or meditations, or whatever you do, slowly it will happen. And the grace. So do like, I like how Sadhguru gives us all the four things: Gyan, Bhakti, Karma, Kriya. Do all the four, but the ratio will differ from person to person depending upon your own unique propensities. Like some may be more inclined to devotion, some may be more like I'm very inclined to Kriya. Kriya happens, Kriya must happen. So then another thing I want to share. Karma Yoga, the path of seva. This also was a question that was asked to Osho. Where was this? Why have I not covered it? Anyhow, I will cover that later. But just to give you a little description on that. So see, normally we think ki path of seva is so easy, no? Just go do service, offer it to God. isn't it? We all think like that. This is what we call as karma yoga. See, this chapter is called Gyan Karma Sannyas Yoga, okay? But and we think that kriya, who will do all this kriya meditation practice? Now here, this is what I wanted to talk about in the context of fire. So there is something called as yogagni, and this word Krishna has used in one second, I'm just going to go into share. Let me find it. Okay. I'll take 5-7 minutes more, okay? And then I'll close. But I want to share this. I like this explanation, making life into a yagna. Look for this word, yogagni. Can you see this word here? Daivam evapare yagnam yogina. Sorry, yogina. Yagnam. There is a word yogagni that Krishna uses. And Osho has said that Krishna has not just said Agni, he has said Yogagni. Now, where it is, I don't know, because I don't know the Sanskrit so well. Okay, I'll find that. Anyhow, let me just share that with you. So how does Yogagni work? Yogagni is an internal fire which is within us. See, how does fire get created? When there is friction and there is dryness, isn't it? Forest fires, when there is lots of dry wood, you rub two stones, so much heat, fire gets created. Friction will create fire and dryness creates fire. Whenever we do our yoga and kriya practices, we are told be on empty stomach. There is a reason to be on empty stomach. In fact, Osho says, you can even be without water, because then the possibility for that Agni, in certain practices, they do that. And he is very funny. He says, I will only tell you the principle because there are enough foolish people here who will go around and start doing this. So he gives this example and he says there was a very well-established yogi who, through his own Agni, creating Agni within himself, he burnt from inside out and his body disappeared. This is a process that a yogi uses to leave his body. A yogi, we have heard of how yogis can leave their body. Whenever they want, they can leave their body, they can detach from the flesh. So this yogi used his yoga Agni to create fire inside. So it's not burning from outside, but from within, the energy started burning, and then he dissolved and he left his body. It was like whatever process. Then he said the doctors, the physicians, they had no answer to this and it could not be explained. But yogis can do this, working on the intensity of this fire. In small ways, this same principle is used in the practices of Kriya in which we are initiated. That's why we are supposed to be on empty stomach. You remember the Shambhavi fluttering breath that we do? It works. If you notice, it works directly on Manipura, which is your fire center. You are on empty stomach. It is creating a certain sort of friction and it is creating some heat in the body. That is why, after Shambhavi, when I did the review with them, they said immediately after your Shambhavi, don't go drink cold things. He said, whatever you've created, you will douse that Agni. So don't go start drinking cold water. Don't have cold food immediately. Just wait for some time because you're creating that Agni. What is this Agni doing? Don't think ego is just some airy-fairy stuff. Ego is actually a tangible glue inside the human system. It's literally like a glue, gooey stuff. And this gooey stuff with the fire that is produced through Kriya is slowly burnt. That is why you will notice over a period of time, if you have been doing your Kriya practices, transformation is beginning to happen. Our nature is beginning to change, isn't it? You don't get as angry as at least I don't get as angry as I used to. I used to be very short-tempered. I have calmed down a lot. So it is that, and it's all coming from ahankar, krodha, lobha, all comes from ahankar only. Na? So ahankar, somewhere something is burning, it's cleaning up. That is how the yoga agni purifies us. So I just wanted to mention that these practices use that method, and yogis have used this internal agni in very sophisticated ways also, but that's a different dimension. Like, the story of Adi Shankaracharya. He left his body, parked it in the cave, took the body of the king, and then, did that whole debate and came back. So yes, these things happen. And Yeah, that's the science behind it, the Yogagni. That's how Kriyas work. And I don't know how many of you know this, but when I was initiated into Shambhavi, Sadhguru said that it has taken me, whatever, I think 15 years to create Shambhavi. It took him 15 years to create that perfect thing for Shambhavi. Bhuta Shuddhi practice that is offered in Isha, Sadhguru says, I had to redesign it, work on it so that women could practice too. Earlier, Bhuta Shuddhi was only practiced by men. To make it available for women, so he is working on these energies that's why Isha practices are strict, man. They are so strict, and they really require a certain lab-like cleanliness. Once you sit in an Isha session, everything is like square means square, means your one toe cannot be. I remember I was doing my, I was getting initiated into Shakti Chalana Kriya, and I was sitting on a mat in Vajrasan with just my toe, my big toe out of the mat. And that volunteer comes and says, no, this is not okay. Your toe also has to be on the mat. It has to be level. Like, oh my God. But that is the level that is the specification and really a lab-like cleanliness with which they work. It is hard. It is not easy. So anyhow, I wanted to share that. Anything else? No, we are good. All right. Okay, then we just take the closing mantra. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Thank you so much. I will see you not next week, the week after that. Okay, next week I'm away.